Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you here was some more of the proxy movement, the proxy settings and the proxy creation type of workflows. So, for example, just getting into some of these files here. So this file is 9.8 gigabytes in size. It's a you can see here it's a 4096. It's a UHD. It's actually a DCI 4K file. What I can see here is because I made a preview of it, and once again, this is the preview. It doesn't look horrible, but it's definitely not 4K. That's, and if you see it in full screen, you'll see that's definitely not 4K. So, as he says, no, it's not. So the preview, if I can show you that, it went from 9.8 gigabytes. It went to 36 megabytes. So basically 960 megabytes would have been 10%. So 96 megabytes would have been 1%. This is less than half of 1% of what the full res file was taking up. So preview clips are really great, and it's really great to create these lower resolution and lower size files, and at the same time push them to the cloud. Because we all know the problem in the cloud is that upload and download times, space, costs money. So what we can do here is we can do a proxy create of a proxy cloud, or a cloud proxy. And I can show you what that looks like simply by going to my proxy presets here. So proxy cloud is a fast encode speed. It's a low quality, so it's going to be a lower bit rate. It's an HD resolution. It goes to the cloud into the proxy path. And I mentioned before, when I was talking about the proxy path, that its job is to keep everything there. Its job is to make sure that nothing gets flushed, because I'm using that proxy path as a proxy for some of my clips here. Especially in this case, if I make a proxy cloud version of this clip, it's going to be a higher resolution than the preview that was here before. So this is automatically going to switch over to use that higher resolution proxy whenever it can. That means it has to stay on the cache volume and not just be flushed out and only be on the cloud. So this points to the proxy location, and I'm going to go ahead and say, go ahead and make that proxy on the cloud, and make that proxy in the cache volume that I can then use for this clip. So go back and forth here. So that's encoding right now. What's happening at this point on the server is that it is, you can see it going into an encode here. And if I open up this is my sort of status. This is my status for the Zen data back end of the object cloud. You can see what it's done here is it's created this directory structure, and it's creating a file right now. And once the file is complete, it's going to write it to the cloud, and then you'll have a probably more like a 2 or 3% size file against that UHD file that came in, that will now exist on the cloud in the exact same directory structure as what was on the high-res volume. So once this is done, and I may skip ahead here until this is complete right now, and there we go. Through the magic of editorial, that's completed, and you'll see right now it's writing that proxy up to my cloud bucket, which happens to be Wasabi. And I can launch up my Wasabi Explorer right now, which you can do on any desktop in the world that has an internet connection. And if you have access and authentication to see the cloud bucket, it'll come up. And so you can see here that my cloud bucket contains a bunch of folders. It looks eerily similar to the cloud volume that I have on my desktop on the server. And so here's all the volumes I have. If you take away the LTO backup and archive and a couple other folders that have nothing in it, yeah, it looks exactly the same. And if I, sure enough, go into my, that succeeded now, that completed. And so now if I go into my Brandstar 3 footage, where was this? Brandstar 3 footage October 11 shoot. Oops. Sorry, Proxy. Brandstar 3 footage October 11 shoot. There it is, and there it is. It goes way down. Once again, created the exact same directory structure in the cloud, and there's that file, 1540.mxf, and you can see there, yeah, 486.1540.mxf. So that's now up in the cloud, but it's still local, because if I go back to here and hit play, look, it looks not much nicer now, right? You can see that's definitely a much sharper image, and that's something that I can use potentially for my edit. Now, another thing we can do when we're talking about cloud access is, since that's up on my cloud bucket, let me go over to my Mac. There's a real tricky thing we can do here through a product called Expand Drive. And Expand Drive is basically a way to mount the cloud bucket locally. And you can tell it what you want to do in terms of caching the files locally. But when we go in here, Proxy, brand star, 3 footage, October 11 shoot, yada, 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 and there it is. So there's the file that I just, now I don't have that volume on my desktop. You can see the previews, proxy volumes in here, the cloud volumes in here, nothing, but there it is, because that's coming directly from the cloud bucket. Now, can I open that up? Probably. And what's going to happen is, you should see that if I open up my Expand Drive interface here, that goes and tells me that it's downloading the file. So basically that's downloading from the cloud to play for me. Now, if I had tried to upload or to download the full res file at 9.8 gigabytes, I'd be sitting here for a long time. But because that file came in at only 84 megs when I created the HD proxy for it, it's so much easier to bring down to my desktop in that way. And you know, the Wasabi drive that you see here through Expand Drive, you can link to files there. I mean, I've done this before. You still have to cache everything locally. You still have to download everything. But I can actually take an Adobe project and link to files on that Wasabi Cloud Bucket interface, and it will link to the files. It will, as it's linking to them, it will be downloading them to the desktop, and then they'll just come online and start to play. So there are ways to enable remote access to the files on the system, either by copying directly to the cloud volume from the original camera assets, or proxying to the camera, to the cloud volume at a much smaller size. As you can see here, much more easier to use, comes up much quicker, and it's a faster download, of course. Any questions that you have, please email support@facilis.com or jim@facilis.com, and we'll try and answer any questions that you have. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.